Okay guys, Patriot back again for part 2 of our field stripping and expedient cleaning of the Ruger Mark III. Now we just finished up with our bore snake after disassembling the pistol into 3 pieces. And the next thing that we'll do is turn our gun over this way so that the ejection port is facing up, and we'll take our baby toothbrush and a piece of cotton cloth, and we'll just insert it into the back of the gun, and all we're going to do is rotate this around, push it in and out a little bit, 3, 6, 9, 12 position, and just kind of try to clean the inside of that tube real well. Now this plastic toothbrush is a great tool because you're not going to scratch anything, you're not going to bend or damage anything inside of this upper receiver. So you can go ahead and be fairly aggressive with it and clean it out real good. So we'll take our toothbrush out, take our cleaning patch out, and now we'll have a nice clean upper receiver. You guys can see in there that the tube is nice and clean, and the breech face is shiny and clean and good to go. So we're done with our pistol at this point as far as the cleaning portion goes, and now we'll move on to the bolt. And I'm just going to set this aside so that we don't have a lot of background distraction there, and I'm going to use a matchbox to help the camera focus. And here's our bolt, here's the back of our bolt, here's the top of our bolt, here's the front or bolt face. And I'm just going to show you a couple key areas here where a lot of dirt and grime gets into. And that is right behind our extractor. Here is our extractor, and right this little groove right behind it, a lot of garbage gets into there. So we'll take our toothbrush and just get the tips of those bristles back behind that extractor to make sure that you've got all the garbage and burnt powder and oil and everything that accumulates in there out. And then our next point of concern is right around the firing pin right here. And you can see the top of this bolt is cut so that it's open, and all we're going to do is kind of insert the toothbrush bristles first and pull it out this way, just straight down, and then pull it out. That's usually the most effective way of getting the junk out of there. Now, as you can see, we're starting with a nice clean pistol for the most part. I've had to redo this video a couple times already to make it of acceptable quality for you guys. I always want to give you guys the best, and so I don't have a lot of dirt to show you, but that's how it's done. So back to our pistol here. We'll zoom out a little bit, and all we're going to be doing is dropping the bolt in. Now, if you've done things right, this bolt will drop back straight in like this. Now, if you haven't done it right and you end up with a the hammer sticking up into the upper receiver, this isn't going to fall. So I'm going to show that to you guys really quick. Right now, you can see that there is no obstruction, and that's why our bolt fell right in. Now, if I take a little toothbrush or toothpick or something like that and push our hammer forward intentionally so that it's in the way, you can see that is now sticking up. That's an obstruction that will not allow this bolt to simply slide in. It's going to stop as soon as it hits the back of the hammer. So we'll remove this, and all we need to do is get that hammer to fall back into the lower receiver. And the way to do that is just to pull the trigger and give the gun a good tap on the palm of your hand or something soft. And as you can see, our hammer has now fallen back out of the upper receiver into the lower receiver, where it's pivoted away like it's supposed to be. So obviously our bolt is going to fall in just like it did the first time that I showed you. Nice and unimpeded there. And now we'll take our mainspring housing and back to our match box so that I can show you something. I don't know what the technical term is. I'm going to call this little divot here, I'm going to call this the shoe. Now beneath that shoe is a spring that protrudes down into this, and that's our mainspring. So there's a little hammer strut in here, which in the gun that I'll show you, that seats with this shoe, and it has to seat with that shoe in order to reassemble the gun. So let's go ahead and stand our gun straight up like this, and what we're going to do is get our hammer out of the way so that it's going to be out of the way of our mainspring housing pin, and it's going to fall back into the upper receiver. And you might be able to see this. Right now that hammer is in the way of us inserting the mainspring housing pin, and we're going to push it forward. Like that. Now it's back out of the way. Now all we've done is pivoted our hammer back up this direction so that we can insert this pin this way. So now that that's out of the way, we can insert our pin and push it straight forward. Directly straight up. And when we do that, we'll have to hold this bolt forward. The reason that we have to hold this bolt forward a little bit is because the tension from our extractor here is pushing against the breech face, and it's making this kind of come out the back. If this isn't flush against the back of the receiver, that pin is not going to go back in no matter how hard you push it, unless your gun's very broken in and you get lucky. So when I insert that pin, I'll be pushing this forward. So we'll set this back down and rotate our pin into the push position. Hold this forward like so and push this up. Push up our mainspring. So we've got that pushed up now all the way until it stops, and you can see that it's protruding out the top of the receiver again like it's supposed to. And the only thing we have left to do is to zoom out and show you the final reassembly stage. And I'm going to have to move this up a bit. All we'll be doing is holding the gun at a 45-degree up angle so that that little hammer strut in there can seat against our mainspring housing shoe. So we push this closed like so, and we've got a little bit of tension here. A little bit of tension against the mainspring. So you can see I'm pushing against that. When I release, it bounces back a little bit. That means that it is engaged. If it doesn't bounce back like this, it means that you have to hold the gun back up at 45 degrees and retry that. So all we have to do now is rotate our lever up, and our gun is now back together. So we'll go ahead and cycle the action by pulling back the bolt, letting it forward, pulling our trigger, and if it does that, we know it's completely back together and everything's working. I think that's about it, guys. What I'll do now